to disperse a protest over this film near the U.S. Embassy in Tunisia. From the French news agency, Tunis police dispersed protesters outside the U.S. Embassy. They fired tear gas to disperse hundreds of demonstrators outside the embassy in Tunis, gathered to condemn a film deemed offensive. This is just an excuse. This movie is just like the cartoons. The Dutch cartoons were just an excuse. It's just convenient excuse. It's 9/11 and now 9/12 when all of this is happening. And again, we just had a caller from Mexico with a really brilliant point. If the Islamists are upset at anything, it's the fact that we're spiking the ball, killing Osama. The Democrat convention was devoted to that. The two reasons this country was given to re-elect Barack Obama: bailing out GM, keeping it alive, and killing Osama. And the protesters outside the embassy in Egypt are all shouting, "We're all Osama's, Obama," or something of that nature. The Danish cartoons, same excuse given to justify, and of course, our embassy's apology acknowledges that, well, I guess that's justified reason for these people to protest, because they apologized for our free speech. To Sarah Palin issued a response or a reaction to all this on her Facebook page. Apparently, President Obama cannot see Egypt and Libya from his house. On the anniversary of the worst terror attacks ever perpetrated on America, our embassy in Cairo, our consulate in Benghazi were attacked by violent Islamic mobs. In Cairo, they scaled the walls of our embassy, destroyed our flag, replaced it with a black Islamic banner. In Benghazi, in Libya, the armed gunmen set fire to our consulate, killed an American staff member, happened to be the ambassador. The Islamic radicals claim that these attacks are in protest to some movie criticizing Islam. In response to this, the U.S. Embassy in Cairo issued a statement that was so outrageous that many of us thought it must be a satire. The embassy actually apologized to the violent mob attacking us. They apologized to the mob. And it even went so far as to chastise those who use free speech to, quote, hurt the religious feelings of Muslims. Funny, the current administration has no problem hurting the religious feelings of Catholics. But where is the president's statement about this? These countries represent his much-touted Arab Spring. How is that Arab Spring working out for us now? Have we got an apology yet from our friends in the Muslim Brotherhood for the assault on our embassy? By the way, we have. And it's actually more like a veiled threat. I just saw it. I didn't have a chance to print it out. You can't believe how things are flying in here at me today. If I didn't have such a strong spine and such a massive amount of self-confidence, I would think that 150 people believe I don't know how to do this. I cannot describe to you what's flowing into me. I'm almost going to close my email. I got a commercial break. I've got at least 35 emails. Hey, mention this. Why don't you mention it? You've made a point that... Hey. Anyway, I just had a chance. I just saw, it's a piece by Andy McCarthy at National Review. And right as the theme was starting for this hour is when I got it. And apparently the Muslim Brotherhood has issued some kind of a statement that McCarthy is an expert on this people. These people claim is more like a veiled threat. I'll dig it out. And plus, I'm trying to keep up with what Apple's doing today. You wouldn't believe what I got going on here. It's a man. I got static like you can't believe in my audio feed. You just don't know, folks. You just have no idea what trying to do a show on a day like this is all about. Morsi is his name, I believe. It's supposedly a semi-apology or an acknowledgement that something bad happened, but it has a veiled threat in it, ostensibly, which doesn't surprise me. Obama, there are still a billion Osamas. That's what they were shouting. Obama, there are still a billion Osamas. That's what the protesters were shouting as they went over the wall at our embassy in Egypt yesterday, in Cairo. I could shoot myself figuratively for not putting this together myself, for not making this connection. I'm like everybody else. I got so amazed at our embassy's apology for us again that I got fixated on that. And what was staring all of us right in the face, here we're apologizing for a preacher. There are people in this country who want to blame Terry Jones for this. Or this guy making the movie about Muhammad And the protesters aren't shouting Terry Jones' name or the movie producer's name. They're shouting Obama's name. And it's 9/11. It's totally coordinated. Libya is a different thing. I don't know if there's coordination between those two. I have no idea if there's any coordination there. But again, in Libya, was it not true that Mrs. Clinton was mocking or laughing at one point about us getting rid of Gaddafi? Maybe not laughing, but was she being flippant about how easy it was and what a rot gut he was, and we'd done something that, remember, Gaddafi had his supporters in Libya. He had a bunch of them. And spiking the football again. I just don't believe it's this movie. And now the outbreak in Sudan, Kuwait, and Morocco. Too convenient an excuse. Let me finish the Sarah Palin statement because it's good. She wrote this before Obama's appearance today, in which he refused to take questions. But where is the president's statement about this? These countries represent his much-touted Arab Spring. How's that Arab Spring working out for us now? Have we got an apology yet from our friends in the Muslim Brotherhood for the assault on our embassy? It's about time that our president stood up for America and condemned these Islamic extremists. I realize there must be a lot on his mind these days, she writes. I mean, our economy's abysmal jobless numbers, Moody's new warning about yet another downgrade to our nation's credit rating due to the current regime's failure to come up with a credible deficit reduction plan. And, of course, Obama has such a busy schedule. All these rounds of golf, the softball interviews with the pimp with the limp. Did you hear about that? Yesterday, he did a radio interview with a radio host South Florida who bills himself as the pimp with the limp. Some rapper, I think. He's going to be on Letterman next Tuesday. He's flying out to Las Vegas right now, in the air right now for a fundraiser in Las Vegas that, again, was originally scheduled for outdoors that they have moved indoors to a much smaller place. And the reason that Debbie Blabbermouth Schultz gave was the weather. But the weather was all yesterday. There isn't any bad weather in Vegas today. Yes, I was right. Hillary Clinton laughing about getting rid of Gaddafi in a TV interview. We came, we saw, he died, and she's laughing. So I'm telling you what we've got here. And don't forget, this is the bunch that tells us not to spike the football. This is the regime that tells us not to brag. This is the regime that tells us not to gloat. The Democrats mentioned killing bin Laden 21 times during their convention. Watching. It's their party. Well, you don't think the Muslim Brotherhood's hoping Romney wins this, do you? It's the Muslim Brotherhood watching their convention, the Democrat National Convention, and they hear Obama and the Democrats bragging about killing Osama bin Laden 21 times. Hillary said, we came, we saw, he died, about Gaddafi. Laughing about it. Real laughter for Hillary, which is a cackle. It sounds just like there's a creature in Arkansas, the Arkansas broadbeam, and you can recognize the Arkansas broadbeam. And Hillary sounds amazingly like it. And she was laughing that way when she was joking about Gaddafi becoming room temperature. Interesting coincidence. I'm going to finish this Sarah Palin statement if it's the last thing I do. I realize there's a lot on Obama's minds these days. Our economy's abysmal jobless numbers, Moody's new warning about yet another downgrade to our nation's credit rating due to the current regime's failure to come up with a credible deficit reduction plan, and, of course, his busy schedule. Rounds of golf, softball interviews with the pimp with the limp, fundraising dinners with his corporate cronies. I might add an appearance on Letterman, fundraiser in Las Vegas. But our nation's security should be of utmost importance to the commander-in-chief. America can't afford any more leading from behind in such a dangerous world. We already know that President Obama likes to speak softly to our enemies. If he doesn't have a big stick to carry, maybe it's time for Obama to grow one.